defeated fighters.
Gentlemen, you've had your instructions in the dressing room. You know what I expect of you. Touch gloves. Good luck to you both. Touch gloves. Touch gloves.
Phil Edwards with the words of advice. Ustinov, a huge man, outweighs Pulev by 4 stones, taller by 3 inches. And as you'll see, he's not exactly fleet-footed, but he can bang. 15 of his stoppage wins have come inside the first 3 rounds. Pulev here. Well, there are some people who say that behind the Klitschko's, he might be one of the most impressive of the emerging heavyweights. 31 years old now, should be pretty much in his prime. Ustinov's been around for a while as well. And he can take a shot, and he can also deliver one.
Yeah, you just tend to think that maybe Ustinov is an easy target to hit, Johnny. I know he likes to lean back, and he uses those long arms. He stretches them out and uses that as some sort of defense so you can't get near him, but Pulev already shown he has faster hand speed and connecting with a few nice jabs.
I mentioned some of the people Pulev had fought. Ustinov's got wins against the likes of Monty Barrett, Denis Baktov, Paulo Vidoz. Reasonable names.
But yeah, but you have to go with a man on, I know they're both undefeated, but beating Dimitrenko in his last fight.
Yeah, and looked good in the process as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, you know, you have to fancy him as a favourite when you're going in.
Certainly looks very much more the athlete, doesn't he? Dimitrenko had only lost 1 fight before that defeat against Pulev. Subsequently blamed the fact that he lost on a bereavement that he suffered just before the fight. Grandmother died apparently 3 days before he was in the ring against Pulev. Nevertheless, Pulev was pretty good that night. Yeah, the fight we brought to you on Box Nation.
Look good. He just took a nice little right hand there off Ustinov and took it well.
Well, there's no great pretense about subtlety from Ustinov, is there? He just comes lumbering forward and tries to detonate that big right hand.
But he didn't just end, didn't he? What he does is he just literally pushes that jab in your face, leaves it out there, and then comes in with that clubbing right hand over the top, and it doesn't have to do on the chin, John, such the weight is behind the punch.
The left hand's more of a sort of a battering ram than a real punch. There's a nice left-hand counter from Pulev. His corner like that.
Well, Ustinov, just his hands are too far away from his face, aren't they? So he has no real proper defense. And that gives the faster Pulev a chance to get inside.
Pulev was looking to detonate that right hand there, closing seconds of the opening round. Interesting opening round, and as we suspected, the superior boxing skills, speed, agility, it seems to go with Pulev, the champion. Ustinov, though, huge, and if Pulev allows him to lean on like that, it's not going to be to his advantage. But there, with the last punches of that opening round again, the speed of Pulev probably doing enough to win him the opening 3 minutes.
Yeah, definitely for me, John. I think, you know, he shipped a few right hands himself off Ustinov, but for me, Pulev's hand speed and his footwork was just a bit too much for Ustinov.
Pulev, the first ever European champion from Bulgaria. As you heard in the introductions, he's got the Karl Froch nickname, the Cobra.
Yes, it's a lot to live up to, isn't it? The Cobra. Obviously, one of my favourite fighters was Donald Curry.
Yeah, he was a bit handy. I remember Pulev back in the World Championships in Belfast. He got to the quarter-finals there in 2001. What are we now, 11 years ago? But there you can see, despite the height, reach advantages for Ustinov, he was often out-jabbed in that opening 3 minutes.
Well, Pulev he's just stepping in, isn't he, before he throws the punch, and there it is again. Just moving fleet-footed in with that front foot and just hitting with a nice little sharp jab and then back out again. Though he is dangling that left hand dangerously low, isn't he, Pulev? And you don't want to give Ustinov too many chances with that right hand.
No. You would suspect that Ustinov's best chance has got to be in the early stages. That's a nice right hand from Pulev, though. Ustinov's chin being called to test.
I think Pulev's just trying to lure Ustinov in, isn't he? He wants him to attack. I think he's hoping he's going to be fast enough to... Oh, two good cracking shots there, John.
Ustinov, of course, never been down, never really been in trouble that I've seen, but already in this second round, there's a bit of blood coming, I think, from the left nostril. He's taken a few heavy shots, pretty much full on from Pulev.
Well, I'd like to see Pulev just throw that left jab to the stomach and then come over with a right hand over the top, just so he's low and it's harder for Ustinov to hit him with that clubbing right hand.
Ustinov doesn't look as though he's got the technical skills really to get into range. He's just having to walk through take punches to get into a position where he can try and throw his big punches himself, and he's not really getting him off.
Well, he's too slow on the trigger, isn't he, Johnny? What he needs to get you almost against the ropes, he needs to keep that left hand almost on your shoulder so he can hit you with that right hand. And Pulev's not playing the game, is he? He's being plenty mobile, giving him lots of angles. And as you said earlier, John, he is just too fast for Ustinov at the moment.
Ustinov needs to catch Pulev flush, and it doesn't look as though it's going to happen. You hear the crowd responding to the speed and the precision punching of Pulev.
And there was power in that jab, John. He really stepped in with put all the weight behind that front foot. Caught Ustinov flush, and you can see why he's got bleeding from the nose. Taking some good shots.
They're marking around the left cheek as well, I think. He's blinking a little bit uncomfortably. Heads clashed inside, and you heard Phil Edwards just telling them to watch out for that. Not sure how good these two guys' English is. Well, he ships two more big shots as he came just trying to blunder in behind that extended left-hand lead. Didn't jab his way in and paid the price.
Well, he's struggling, he's struggling for the pace of the fight, and he's used to being the bully in there, but Pulev won't have it, will he? And when Ustinov just threw that left hand in his face and tried to club him with that right hand, Pulev dipped his shoulder, come back with a nice little combination of his own.
Well, his nose is looking a bit of a mess, isn't it? He's shipped some solid punches. Second round, he was starting to become a very static and open target, particularly to the right hands of Pulev, although he, as you rightly identified, he absolutely hammered him back with one classic left-hand lead.
Yeah, Pulev's boxing well at the moment. This corner, I'm sure, will be very happy. And Ustinov just looks confused to me, John, at the moment.
There's that right hand, and there are too many of those getting through. And that was in the closing stages, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ustinov tried to bully him in the corner like he normally does, and Pulev, sorry, just dipped his shoulder, didn't he? Come back with his own little flurry.
At the moment, the giant Alexander Ustinov from Minsk is being outboxed by Kubrat Pulev, who at the moment looks as though he's on his way to a victory here, unless Ustinov can somehow find some big shots to take the spring out of the step of the Bulgarian.
Well, obviously it's Ustinov's tactic, isn't it, to walk Pulev down, tire him out, and Pulev is going to have to work hard in there, John.
This is where he wants him, but he can't get a clean punch off yet. Now he did get through with a left to the body. Not been able to find the trademark headshots, which usually just see him walking through his opponents.
Well, he almost pushes that jab in their face and sort of hides their vision, doesn't he? But Pulev's too fleet-footed, too fast with his hand speed.
That's a big right hand from Pulev. Landed pretty flush. Ustinov doing well just to blink as that landed.
There you go, that's better work from Ustinov. A little feint before he tried to attack. It didn't work, John, but it was the right idea. Pulev's going to have to work very hard tonight, but Ustinov is the one who looks like he's struggling for pace.
He's being comprehensively out-jabbed. He might have a reach advantage. That's 1, 2, 3 gone through to the head, and then a jab to the body, all scoring shots from Pulev.
Well, I'd like Pulev to throw more jabs to the body and then come over with that right hand over the top. Ustinov carries that left hand very, very low.
Nice relaxed look about Pulev. There's that right hand that you've been looking for, but he shipped one in return.
Yeah, and he felt that, didn't he, John? As I was just about to say, Pulev can't miss with that right hand, John, but then he took one himself.
Well, that's almost the first time that Ustinov's got through, and just for a moment or two there, not exactly disorganised Pulev, but he certainly felt the weight of the punch.
It's always going to be a risk, isn't it, now, being the shorter arm fighter, that he's going to take a shot when he's coming in. But I think it's a risk he has to have been taken, and he has been taken. And he's been getting away with it so far because he's been faster than hand and foot.
It's the same sort of height, Ustinov, as the Klitschko's, but he doesn't have their jabbing power. It's more just physical intimidation that he tries to rely on. There's that right hand. That's what Pulev has to avoid.
But he span out of it well, didn't he, John? You know, his footwork's been quite good tonight, Pulev.
Yeah, he's boxed nicely. But at last, Ustinov has got through with a punch or two in that round. That'll give him a bit more hope. Still score it, though, to Pulev, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would, yeah, most definitely, John. I think Ustinov had a lot more success, and it's maybe good signs for him that he's starting to land more regular with that big shot. But Pulev still boxed well, he's still very mobile.
And unmarked. Despite one or two getting through. Right hands of Ustinov at last did land on 2 or 3 occasions in that round. He was European amateur champion 4 years ago. He's got an excellent amateur pedigree.
Well, you can see that, can't you, John? You can see it in his work. Technically very astute. But he's had to work hard so far, John, and he's going to have to work hard, isn't he, to keep Ustinov at bay. Just showing them that nice little jab that he's been catching Ustinov with all night.
There's the right hand from Ustinov. He doesn't need to be taking too many of those because although it's not exactly a pretty shot, he's a big old lump, and if he lands solid, he's going to feel it.
Well, 20 stone on anyone's chin, John, enough to put anyone to sleep, isn't it?
I'm sure Ronald McDonald at the end of this fight is going to be absolutely champing at the bit to tell you that Pulev's younger brother won the Olympic heavyweight silver medal. The Olympics this year, fighting in the family. And that's a quality jab, and Ustinov would be well advised, I think, just to get his gloves up a bit higher. He's taking punch after punch, pretty flush.
Well, to me, John, and he's had a few successes in the last round, Ustinov, but he still looks a little bit confused with what's going on. I think when Pulev's on the balls of his feet, he took a nice little left hand there.
Well, those are punches which are illegal, and Phil Edwards rightly having a word for the second time with Pulev. I mean, I've seen Ustinov fight on several occasions before, and when I've seen him, his opponents really have been beaten before they got in there. They take one look at the size of the guy and think, well, I can't live with this. Pulev, though, sees it rather differently. He thinks he can outbox him, and so far, well, he's proved it.
Yeah, he has, definitely. Yeah, he's been boxing really well, hasn't he? Well, Ustinov, I don't know him personally, but he boxes like a bully, doesn't he? Just wants to pull you to the corner and he just bash you up. But he's not been able to have that success because Pulev's just been giving him too many problems. And that jab's been the key for him tonight.
And he's not been able to land the big shots to really put Pulev under any sort of sustained pressure so far. There's been the occasional big right-hand swing, but there've not been enough of them. And Pulev, so far anyway, has shown that he's not going to be troubled by them. Looks as though he's got a good chin, as well as decent boxing ability.
Well, and at times Pulev has put Ustinov on the back foot, which I'm sure is a foreign thing for him. I don't think he's been on the back foot too often.
Nice body shot from Pulev before he ties the big fella up. And Pulev ties him up illegally. And Phil Edwards not standing for any nonsense in there. He's kind of similarities. I don't know, did you see the Holyfield-Valoev fight a year or two back? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Holyfield won that fight
Yeah, I did also,
clearly. And okay, Pulev's landing a lot more punches than Evander did, but it's kind of a similar pattern, in and out and try and outbox him and just use speed.
Well, because he's such a big guy, his reaction is going to be so much slower than yours. So you don't want to give him time to set himself, do you? You just want to be plenty mobile, giving him lots of angles.
His face is looking a mess now. He's eating far too many of these jabs and he's just not slipping anything.
I am surprised how easy Pulev's been hitting him with the jab. It's been a really good weapon for him.
Yeah, that surprised me as well. I thought he'd have to be leaping in and out more than he has done. And he's winding up at the stage now where he's almost prepared to just get into range and trade. Ustinov took a lot of punches in that round.
He did, John, and the worrying sign is now that Pulev's starting to spin Ustinov, and that's where he could possibly get hurt.
So far, he's winning this a lot more easily and convincingly than I thought he would. I always thought Pulev was a justifiable favourite for this, but he's found Ustinov very easy to hit.
Yes, and that jab's, again, you know, we've been saying it all night, but that jab's been a great weapon. Just seen it here. Look at that. What's that, 4 jabs?
Well, they always say, don't they, the best things come off the jab, and if ever you doubted it, there's a moment that Ustinov had a bit of success of his own, but for the most part, that was the story.
Well, when Ustinov did get his success was when Pulev stood his ground, wasn't it? You don't need to stand for it. Don't ever get flat-footed. He's going to have to work hard.
Well, there'll come a time maybe when he thinks he's just inflicted enough punishment, stand there and maybe try and take him out, but I don't think that time's there yet.
No, not at all. And even if you do feel brave and feel like Ustinov is waning slightly, oh, look at that, sorry, John, look at that jab. It's great, isn't it?
Super shot. He has a very, very good quality left-hand lead. And when you look at the British fighters, you know, and you look at, that's a nice right hand from Ustinov, but when you look at David Price, you look at Tyson Fury, it's the American, Seth Mitchell, you know, these are the guys who are looking to make names for themselves and come through in a possible post-Klitschko era. And Pulev's going to be right up there with them on the basis of what we've seen so far.
Well, I think David Price would totally smash this Ustinov, to be honest, John.
Well, he'd have had that right hand over the top, wouldn't he? You know, the left hand down as low as that, he really would be a sitting target for Big David. Price against Audley Harrison, of course. Big fight that you're going to be able to see weekend after next on Box Nation. Just about a sellout, I'm told, at the Echo Arena up there in Liverpool. If you've not got your tickets, you better hurry to the box office. Otherwise, Box Nation, the place to watch it.
Nice little hook off the jab there from Pulev. He's pretty much having success, isn't he, John, with everything he does at the moment.
That's more like it. Good shot from Ustinov. Just a reminder from Pulev. Can't get complacent against this big man.
But to me, John, Pulev seems like he's boxing within himself. He looks really relaxed.
It's the third time that Phil Edwards has warned Pulev. Maybe that the English referee's not going to take too much more before he starts warning Pulev about the possibility of deducting points. This time, Pulev at pains to point out that he was the one being aggrieved in that particular little maul.
Well, you can't blame Pulev for holding when Ustinov gets close. Imagine the strength difference massively in Ustinov's favour. But Ustinov just waiting too long, isn't he, to get his own punches off. No, he needs to bully like he always does. He needs to bully Pulev.
That's a sweet combination from Pulev. Left hand, right hand, followed by the jab to the body. Good work from the Bulgarian.
But if Ustinov keeps fighting the way he's fighting at the moment, John, it's going to be a relatively easy night's work for Pulev.
He's not looked too worried, has he? And he's not blowing, really. Coming towards the end of the 5th round, that's the shot he needs to beware of, but Pulev finding it easy. It was telegraphed from way back to block it. Now he does get into range in the closing seconds of the round. At last they go toe-to-toe, and the crowd just warm up a little bit. But for Ustinov's point of view, a little bit too little, too late.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And I think we were saying earlier on in the round, weren't we, that he just needs to be a little bit more assertive, start throwing more punches and taking more risks, Ustinov, because he's boxing the way he's boxing. It's one-way street at the moment.
Well, it might be a high-risk policy, and he is getting busted up, but it really does look like the only way he's going to win it, doesn't he? I mean, he's got to take some punishment just to get into range and to use that huge bulk to somehow get on top of Pulev.
Well, he's looking, because he's used to bullying guys against the ropes, he's looking to get close to Pulev, but it's not working there. We're seeing some success from him there.
This was the last few seconds of the round, wasn't it? That's a good jab.
Well, he got beat, but he beat Pulev to the jab for probably the first time in the fight. Just showing both fighters landing some good shots, John.
So into the 6th round. You got it to shut out to Pulev so far?
I have, most definitely. And I don't think that you could really argue much, could you? That round was a little bit closer, John, but still, throughout the whole of the round, Pulev did most of the work.
You sense that Ustinov is just itching to get this into some sort of tear-up where he's in a position where he can force an exchange at relatively close quarters, and Pulev just won't play ball.
Well, Ustinov's waiting almost like a counter-punch, isn't he, in the centre of the ring, waiting to pull up the load, because he's used to having the upper hand with the reach, but Pulev's too fast with his feet and his hands, and he's battering and beating him up with that jab.
The boxer at the moment is comprehensively doing a number on the strongman, on the bully, if you like.
Well, he is, John, he really is. He's just winning the fight with one hand at the moment. And I can't believe how relaxed Pulev is. Even when he takes a shot, even when he takes a shot, he doesn't seem worried, does he, at all?
He's very composed, isn't he? And he's confident in his ability to take one as well. Ustinov can't have hit him with clean shots more than about 15 or 20 times in the whole fight so far, I think.
Yeah. There's Ustinov trying to be a little bit assertive, but then being caught with the counter right hand by Pulev. He's
not been trying to throw that right over the top as much, Pulev, as he did in the early stages, just content to work behind the jab.
Well, he doesn't need to take any risks, does he, John? You can see him cutting or busting up Ustinov around the eyes with that jab alone.
That's warning number 4. Do you understand me? I've told you. Does he understand him? That's the right hand from Ustinov. That's the danger shot again. Pulev just perhaps losing concentration momentarily.
It's a clubbing shot though, isn't it, John? And even though it's obviously heavy-handed, there's not a lot of snap behind the punch.
Well, this time it's Ustinov who's going to be told off. You don't use the forearm across the throat. I think that's the gist of that one.
Well, he's so used to putting that left hand out there, isn't he, as a rangefinder, that he gets away with it a lot of the time, John. But well, not that time, and rightly so. Pulev was right on him.
Quiet around the 6th. Not a lot of clean shots being landed.
No, but those early on in the rounds, Pulev for me.
Well, jabs, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the jabs. Yeah, it's a brilliant punch, and he's used it really well. Not being as fleet-footed as he once was, Pulev, but doesn't need to be at the moment, because Ustinov is struggling for pace at the moment also.
Well, Ustinov's landed a couple of punches in that round, but again, just not letting them go often enough, and you can't really make an argument for the big man having won a round so far, and we're at the midway stage. No,
6-0 for me, John. Maybe the 5th round was probably the closest round, maybe, for me, what I can remember, but it was still a clear round for Pulev. And that round also again.
They look pretty happy and relaxed in that corner, don't they, as well? They might. Tactics working to perfection.
Well, they look like it's some sort of sparring session, don't they? You would be relaxing because he's boxing well. He hasn't really taken too many shots, has he, Johnny? Hasn't been under any pressure.
Just a little bit of swelling around that left eye, but nothing much. Well, my German's not great, but I think there was a bit of suggestion that they might be getting into the position where he could be working the body a bit more than he is.
That's a good shout, John, actually, yeah. You can be, when you're having success, you can be sometimes, can you, a little bit head hunting happy.
Yeah, you don't want to be
too predictable. Maybe, yeah.
Too obvious in your approach. Into the second half of the fight anyway, and Pulev, the Bulgarian, firmly in control. And it looks as though Ustinov, unless he can find some big shot from somewhere, is very much looking at the possibility of a first professional defeat.
Well, he needs to change his tactics, John, and drastically, I think, because he is 6-0 down at the moment. And
Pulev looking to step in behind the jab and bring in the right hand. Not seen too many right hands thrown by Pulev for some time.
Well, for Ustinov's point of view, he needs to bully Pulev onto the rope, but he needs to do it behind a solid jab and not just throwing that left hand out there, trying to just place it into Pulev's face. He needs to throw it with intent. And maybe let his hands go a little bit more, John.
Well, there's a classic example. He got himself into range there, but Pulev's footwork was just smart enough to get himself away before anything at all was thrown.
Yeah, and rather than just throw punches, trying to hit the target, he's looking to, even when he gets him under the most, to push him back again, isn't he, with that left hand? He's thrown some left hooks off the lead, which have been...
Well, he won't be allowed to do that. Referee had called break, and there was one off the break. Big crowd, but I think they perhaps anticipated a few more fireworks than they've had. It's been a bit of a sort of a tactical masterclass from Pulev so far. He's not just been content to pick his man apart.
Well, you thought Pulev was favourite, or I certainly did. You thought that Ustinov would have tested him a few times, didn't you? And maybe he still might, but at the moment it's all one-way traffic.
Well, unless he unravels in some unforeseen manner, it's hard to see where that's going to come from. He's really going to have to walk into a big one, Pulev, just to take the spring out of his steps. Seems a little bit more inclined to try and hold on and just tie Ustinov up than he was earlier on. Maybe Ustinov at last showing a bit more attacking intent, and that's a good right hand. First time that Pulev's been stunned.
With two right hands. When the first one was on the ropes, and then as he moved up, then he caught with a cracking shot, and that definitely wobbled Pulev.
Well, that's the first time that Pulev's really been in trouble of any sort in this fight, and Ustinov closer than anybody, but what a comeback. Great right hand from Pulev. Ustinov will have realised that Pulev was in trouble, but it was a great comeback from Pulev last few seconds of the round, and that was a cracking right hand that he landed himself.
Well, that last little 30 seconds, John, was the fight we expected to see, wasn't it? With both guys landing big shots, and well, to be fair, they both took them very well, didn't they? But it was Ustinov just letting his hands go a little bit more and having success with it. Caught Pulev with a cracking right hand first of all, didn't he?
It's what can happen with a big puncher, isn't it? You know, I mean, he's been behind. Suddenly, two right hands, and Pulev was stunned.
Well, we've seen it the other week, didn't we? Michael Sprott totally outboxing an undefeated fighter.
Edmund Gerber.
Yeah, and then took a cracking right hand, put him on his backside, and, you know, just not talk about the ending after that, but up until that fight, he dominated the fight, and the same here with Pulev. That was the first right hand, John.
That's the first one, and there is the second one.
And to be fair to Pulev, he done well to stay up, because that was all of 20 stone one. It swung onto his chin.
And that was the comeback. Response just a matter of seconds later, and the fight in the 7th round rather came alive.
Well, this is, to be honest, what Ustinov can hope for. All he can hope for, isn't it? That Pulev forgets his boxing now and gets into a bit of a gunslinging situation.
Well, if the judges are scoring it the same way I am, judges from Switzerland, Poland and Spain, Ustinov is going to have to put Pulev down.
Yeah, I think so.
Two good left hands from the Bulgarian.
Ustinov just a little bit more success then, and then Pulev comes back straight away, John.
Yeah, but he's blowing now. He's feeling the pace, the big fella.
Yeah, he looks tired, doesn't he? And that's a welcome rest for him, John.
Bit of loose binding. He really looked as though he was blowing for a few seconds.
Yeah, he had a bit of success at the beginning of that round, but then Pulev come back and then he looked like he was struggling for the pace a little bit.
8th round. Can big Alexander Ustinov, 35. This is his big opportunity. Might not come again. Can he somehow find a punch to turn this one around?
Well, he needs it, doesn't he? And even though he's struggling for pace at the moment, John, he needs to really dig in and find some resolve from somewhere and mount a sustained attack. There's no snap in his punches, John, but the weight alone moved Pulev from side to side.
That right hand didn't miss by a great deal, and Pulev did well to hold on for a moment or two. Maybe caught him just a glancing blow. Ustinov still dangerous. Big, lumbering, been on the receiving end. He's feeling the pace, but he's still got power. Good jab from Pulev.
Well, actually, John, I was just about to say, Pulev has neglected the jab slightly in this round, and that's give Ustinov an opening, hasn't it, to attack.
My imagination is Pulev getting himself dragged into Ustinov's kind of fight here.
Well, I think he's been hurt himself, and he's also had some success. He's hurt Ustinov in that last round, and sometimes that can make you a little bit more aggressive.
The jabs again from Pulev. Got the right hand cocked to come over the top.
But landed with his own Ustinov, and then shipped a few more back himself off Pulev.
Ustinov's having to dig deep. He's fighting mouth open, sucking in the air, feeling the pace. Having to propel that near 22 stone frame around the ring, and for the second time, back to the corner for repairs to be done to the binding.
But having more success, John, but look at his face.
Yeah, it's a mess. There's a cut around the left eye now. It looks as though it might be the left eyelid.
Looks swollen as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, try and look at that closer between rounds, but that is a bit of a mess now. And you begin to wonder whether he's going to see the distance out.
But he's had a better round, John. I don't know whether he's done enough for me to win the round, but he's had a better round, drawing Pulev into a bit more of a fight.
Blood's dripping into his left eye, maybe affecting the vision. And the 8th round over. Big effort in that round from Alexander Ustinov, but the damage to his face has worsened, and just 4 rounds now to go.
Yeah, John, that was the closest round of the fight so far. I just edged Pulev. I think he had more success at the beginning of the round.
That's a good shot, though.
Cracking punch, wasn't it?
Really good shot. Again, Pulev showing a good chin. There's an argument that Ustinov might have done enough to win that one.
No, it was a close round, it was. I still fancy Pulev. I think he fights back. That's what I like about him, John. Every time he's under pressure or takes a good shot, he comes back with his own punches. But again, I think for me, he's just landed the more cleaner shots, and his work rate's been a little bit more. But it's been a more of Ustinov's fight, hasn't it, in that round and the last round. Even though I haven't given the rounds to him, the fights, this sort of fight that he wants to get into, the gunslinging situation where he has a chance of catching Pulev and maybe putting him to sleep.
So now into the 9th. 4 to go. If you're just joining us, Kubrat Pulev, the smaller man in the red shorts, being led back to his corner now for some running repairs on that binding to the right glove. Pulev, well, certainly on our card, is a long way in front. This is a European and IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight title fight, 9th round of 12, and we've got Pulev a long way in front, but Ustinov still landing the occasional big shot, and he'll still cherish hope.
Well, he's made a fight of it, hasn't he, John, in these last 2 rounds. You know, Pulev's neglected the jab a little bit, and maybe he's struggling for pace, because he has had to work very, very hard in it tonight.
Damage on that left eye. It looks as though it's just underneath the left eyebrow. They've worked away pretty well to staunch the flow of blood. But you look at the 2 fighters, one man virtually unmarked.
You understand? Understand? Okay.
Well, Phil Edwards asking both men if they understand. I'm not totally convinced they do.
Well, we're just presuming that they speak English, John, because
Pulev again doing a pretty good job of thwarting the bull-like charge of Ustinov. No real clean punches landed in this round so far, but that's a decent body shot from Ustinov as the blood begins to flow again from that injured left eye, and that's a solid left hook from Pulev, which just bounces off Ustinov.
Again, he come off the jab, didn't he? He got double jab, he got momentum then through the right hand, come back with 2 left hooks. Just when he gets on the balls of his feet, he's a better fighter, Pulev, and Ustinov struggles with the speed.
A lot of holding in this round. And again, both of them ticked off by the referee. Heads coming in close that time as well. He looks dog-tired, Ustinov.
Yeah, he does, John. He's had to work hard, hasn't he? And he's taken a lot of shots as well, which also takes it out of view. But he's made Pulev work hard, hasn't he?
Well, having to carry that bulk around, I don't care how big you are, but I mean, nearly pushing on towards 22 stones. He's got to be 3 or 4 stones overweight.
Oh, massively, yeah. It's too much weight to carry around, isn't it? For 12 rounds, and having to throw punches as well. And these last 3 rounds have been quite tough, haven't they?
Well, he's certainly having to dig deeper now at this stage of the fight than he has at any stage of his professional career. And Pulev, if he keeps on landing punches like that, will sense an early finish.
And he's just a much better fighter, Pulev, isn't he? When he's on the balls of his feet, gets a lot of good rhythm in his punches.
Ustinov looks unsteady, Barry.
He's tired, John. He's been slowly worn down, I think, hasn't he?
Well, the bell didn't come a moment too soon for the big man from Belarus. Been a professional for 7 years, undefeated thus far, but now staring the likelihood of defeat very much in the face. He was hurt in those closing stages.
Yeah, he wasn't massively behind, I don't think. But then once Pulev got on the balls of his feet, got some rhythm in his work, landed with a cracking right hand over the top, didn't he, John? And Ustinov took it well, but he's struggling now. The accumulation of all the punches he's taken, added with, like you said, all that weight he's carrying around, is taking his toll.
Well, he's a big, brave fella, but you wonder how many more of the sort of right hands he was shipping in the closing stages of that round, how many more he could take.
But they're just seeing that jab again, aren't we, from Pulev.
Yeah, there are some really solid right hands as well. We've not been shown those as yet. Well, that wasn't one which landed clean, but there were others which did.
Just on the back of the hand, wasn't it? Didn't catch Ustinov flush, luckily for him.
3 rounds to go. It can only go one way if it goes the distance. Ustinov needs a knockout.
Yeah, I got it a shutout at the moment, John. I think you could maybe give 1, possibly 2 rounds maybe to Ustinov, but that would be a push for me. And it all comes off that jab, John.
And Pulev onto the front foot again, bullying the big man back with a clubbing right hand. 8th round was close. Ustinov had his moments then, and one of the earlier rounds as well, but for the most part, Pulev has dictated behind that classy left-hand lead.
Yeah, and just like when he just gets on his toes, isn't he, John? He looks more fluent and relaxed. A little bit too relaxed there. He caught a jab.
Couple of jabs for the camera. Not sure the German television director's going to be too happy about that. They're pretty expensive bit of gear, that.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Just shows how relaxed he is, John. He knows he's winning the fight, and except for a few rocky moments in the last few rounds, he's been enjoying himself in there tonight.
Yeah, he's in complete control now. Bit of a David and Goliath kind of fight. Ustinov, huge in comparison, 3 inches taller, 4 stones heavier. But Pulev with the boxing smarts, with the skills.
Well, I think, you know, the first 6 rounds, he got totally outboxed, didn't he, Ustinov? And to his credit, that 7th and 8th round, Johnny made a big push to try and change the landscape of the fight, but it just wasn't. I think he's run out of steam now, hasn't he? I think that was his last little push, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, last kind of throw, wasn't it? If he finds a big shot now to turn it round, it would be a huge turnaround. You can see again the mouth hanging open. Alexander Ustinov really feeling the pace. Well, there we go. I think he's made it clear now. Last warning. Certainly could have been an argument for Pulev having been deducted a point by now.
Yeah, possibly, John. Yeah, he has had a lot of warnings, hasn't he? Pulev has been quite lenient.
Now Ustinov back to the corner once again.
Come on, get it right.
Get it right.
No messing around there, John.
Giving Ustinov a few precious seconds though, just to regain his composure. And a few words of advice, and again Phil Edwards saying, cut that out, just repair the glove.
Well, that binding has saved Ustinov a few times, hasn't it, John? He's been out of breath just to get his second wind.
So the action underway again.
Beautiful jab, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cracking punch.
A very, very well-schooled fighter who has found the tactics that he needed. Right hand again from Pulev. Ustinov was looking to detonate one himself, but the power shots came from the Bulgarian.
Well, I've enjoyed Pulev tonight, John. He's been very impressive.
He's the genuine article, no question about it. I'm sure that somewhere down the line, one way or another, Kubrat Pulev is going to be coming into the radar of David Price, of Tyson Fury, and maybe even the Klitschko's. And here tonight he's done himself no harm.
Well, he's not just content to win the fight, no, he's been totally outboxing Ustinov. But he's looking for the opportunities to finish the fight when he can. He's committed himself when there was no need to sometimes, and so his appetite for the fight, his appetite to win is good. He has championship qualities that he showed tonight.
Maybe boxing himself into the position where he could be a challenger to the winner of the main event tonight. Still to come, the WBA title fights between Alexander Povetkin and Hasim Rahman. That's still to come. And Kubrat Pulev, well, he looks as though, to me, he's boxing himself very much closer to a challenger's position. Yeah, OK, we took it well, though, didn't we?
Well, you can see that, can you? I guess that was the feeling, John, of the winner of this will maybe fight Povetkin or Rahman, whoever wins the fight. But I think Pulev and Povetkin will be a cracking little fight.
Well, let's see if Povetkin beats Hasim Rahman first. You never know. Hasim Rahman might be pushing 40, but he can still punch. That's a quality jab again from Pulev. That's been the key to success tonight, along with superior footwork. Ustinov has not been able to put him under any sort of sustained pressure. Has been a top 10 ranked fighter, Alexander Ustinov, since 2009. Originally came from a kickboxing background, big, intimidating fighter.
Well, the difference has been definitely, John, obviously it's been the jabs. Pulev's has been superb, and Ustinov hasn't got one.
I thought it said that already. Next one gets some points off.
I guess with the language barrier, John, he wants to give him every opportunity.
Good shots. Oh, he's gone down. Delayed reaction from the left hand. Shaking his head, trying to clear his eyes. It might be all over. I think he's had enough, and he's taken the knee. It's all over, and Kubrat Pulev has finished it and got the stoppage win that in many senses he deserved. He's boxed really well tonight, dominated a previously undefeated fighter, and there in the penultimate round, getting the big left hand, which finishes the fight.
Well, it was a very impressive fight, wasn't it, John? He boxed pretty much punch perfect all throughout the night. And even though that was a good left hook to finish the round, to finish the fight, sorry, I think it was an accumulation of being beat up over 9.5 rounds. What forced Ustinov to quit. And that's what he did, didn't he, John? He made him quit.
Well, he took the knee, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
It's a hard thing to say, but that's what he did. He realised when the big shot landed that he had had enough. It had already been thrown by then, and it was a case of, I don't really want any more. And down he went. That was just a cuffing shot, but he was not coming back, and he knew then that the writing was on the wall.
I've got to be honest, John, they didn't look like any much power in those shots, did they, to be honest? They didn't really hit him too clean. I think he tried his hardest in those middle rounds, was out to run out the steam, was being beat up.
Well, we've seen Kubrat Pulev before, and okay, he might not be the most spectacular heavyweight of all time, but he's very, very technically efficient, and he gets the job done. There's not too many conspicuous weaknesses.
That's a good display by him, John, and you're right, there's not many weaknesses. He has fast hands, he has a superb jab, he knows the right time to attack, he can be aggressive, he can be good off the back foot, and I think he's a danger man in the division.
Could well be, and the world title shot might not be too far away. That's now 17 wins out of 17. His 9th stoppage victory. The victory against Dimitrenko was impressive. Alexander Dimitrenko, 11th round knockout that was in May, and now an 11th round stoppage again, a knockout win against Alexander Ustinov. That's good form.
Well, I think it must be the accuracy of his punches, John, obviously from that superb amateur pedigree he has. He hits you on the button every time, wears you down, and that's why he's getting late stoppages against quality opposition.
Bulgaria, Deutschland.
Bulgaria and Deutschland. Who knows if at some stage it could be the world as well. They like him. There's the Bulgarian flags out there, but the German supporters like him also. And in a moment or two, brought to the centre of the ring by Phil Edwards, referee tonight, who let a bit of argy-bargy go unpunished. But in the end, the right man won it. And Kubrat Pulev, in a second or two, when he's joined by Alexander Ustinov, will be confirmed as still the European heavyweight champion. He's taken a bit of a pasting tonight. Tried all he knew, but in the end, technically just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, he just got beat in every department, didn't he, Johnny? I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he bullies his way through fights, and he couldn't bully Pulev, and that was the old thing. And the biggest thing was he didn't have a jab.
So here we go then.
Meine Damen und Herren, hier kommt das offizielle Urteil. Der Kampf endet nach 1 Minute 28 Sekunden in Runde 11 mit einem K.O.-Sieg des Europameisters und IBF-Champions. Still European Champion and IBF Intercontinental Champion, Kubrat Pulev.
Very, very efficient. 11th round knockout winner. And he continues to ease his way up the world rankings tonight. Kubrat Pulev